Massive political developments are rocking Canada. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has called for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to resign, but says he will not commit to a no-confidence motion. Meanwhile, Canada's Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland has abruptly quit. This deals another blow to Trudeau's government as it prepares to respond to Donald Trump's tariff threats. Now, Chrystia Freeland was also the Deputy Prime Minister and a staunch Trudeau ally. She criticized Trudeau's fiscal policies in her scathing resignation letter and has also called for pushing back against America First economic nationalism. An explosive device planted close to a residential apartment block in Moscow has killed the head of Russia's nuclear, biological and chemical defense forces, Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, early Tuesday. Russia's investigative committee has confirmed the report. Officials are saying Kirillov's assistant has also died in the blast triggered by the device, which was placed in a scooter. According to the committee's spokesperson, Russian investigators have opened a case into the two deaths. The White House has confirmed an assessment by Ukraine's military intelligence agency that some North Korean troops have been killed during combat against Ukrainian forces in Russia's Kursk border region. Now, these are the first reported casualties since the US and Ukraine announced that North Korea has sent 10,000 to 12,000 troops to Russia to help it in the almost three-year war. Ukraine's military intelligence agency said around 30 North Korean troops were killed or wounded during a battle with the Ukrainian army over the weekend. South Korean civic groups have staged a small rally outside the presidential residence, demanding the immediate arrest of President Yoon Suk-yeol. The protesters are condemning Yoon as a dangerous individual who needs to be isolated from society. The South Korean parliament passed the motion to impeach Yoon last Saturday, and by law, the Constitution Court has up to 180 days to determine where to dismiss him as president or restore his powers. The Constitutional Court has said that the first pre-trial preparatory hearing will take place on the 27th of December.
우리 사회의 가장 위협적인 존재입니다. 당장 사회로부터 격리해야 합니다. 오랜 기간 교화가 필요한 사람입니다. 그래서 우리는 윤석열에 대한 즉각적인 체포와 구속을 요구합니다.
China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has said the Taiwan issue is one of several red lines in the China-US relationship that cannot be crossed. Now, China claims Taiwan as its own territory and rejects the island's sovereignty. The US is embroiled in the dispute as it supports the Taiwan government and supplies weapons for its defense. Wang made a lengthy speech covering most aspects of China's diplomacy Tuesday morning at a symposium in Beijing. He cited China's President Xi Jinping in summarizing the four red lines that cannot be challenged in its relationship with the United States.
习近平主席深刻总结中美近年交往的7点经验启示，鲜明画出台湾问题、道路制度、民主人权、发展权利4条不容挑战的红线，强调中方致力于中美关系稳定、健康、可持续发展的目标没有变。
A tragic incident has unfolded at a restaurant in a popular mountain resort in Georgia. Indian Mission has confirmed that at least 11 Indian citizens have died. Authorities say all the victims, all employees of the same restaurant, were found in their bedrooms on the second floor of the establishment. A teenage student opened fire with a handgun at Abundant Life Christian School in Wisconsin's Madison on Monday. The shooter, identified as a 15-year-old female student, also killed herself with a handgun. A teacher and teenage student have died. At least 6 students have been wounded. This includes 2 who suffered life-threatening injuries. The shooting occurred in a study hall and was reported to police by a second grader.
Cannot at this time formally tell you the age or gender or name of the shooter. We do not want to compromise any part of the investigation. We have 3 people who have lost their lives. 2 of those people were persons who were pronounced dead at the scene, and 1 while on the way to the hospital. Of the 6 injured and taken to local hospitals, 2 students remain in critical condition. Their injuries are life-threatening. A teacher and 3 other students were taken to area hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. 2 of those victims, 2 of those survivors, have been released from the hospital.
In a significant development from Syria, former President Bashar al-Assad has issued his first statement since being toppled from power. Assad revealed that he was evacuated to Russia from the Hmeim base on the 8th of December as it came under a drone attack. He explained that he had left Damascus that morning as rebel fighters led by the Islamist group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham advanced on the capital. Assad's written statement dated the 16th of December has been published on the Syrian presidency's Telegram channel. It confirms that he has been granted asylum in Moscow, where he currently resides. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has lost a parliamentary vote of confidence, setting the stage for February elections. The unpopular centre-right leader called for votes, which he was expected to lose after his 3-party coalition collapsed last month. The calculus is that triggering an election 7 months early may be his best chance of political survival. UK's Prince Andrew is under the lens for close ties with a Chinese businessman who is now accused to be a spy for Beijing. It's the most high-profile case in a series of espionage scandals in recent years that involved or suspected or confirmed Chinese intelligence gathering in Britain's establishment, including in the Parliament. Yang Tenbo was known till now as just 8-6 until a High Court judge lifted an anonymity order on Monday. Tengbo has denied he has done anything wrong or unlawful in the UK. A New York judge has ruled President-elect Donald Trump does not have immunity from prosecution for the hush money case in which he was convicted of fraud earlier this year. Trump's lawyers argued that Trump could not be prosecuted for official actions carried out as president and that the case should be thrown out after the Supreme Court ruled in July. However, Judge Juan Merchan has sided with the prosecutors who argued that the decision had quote-unquote no bearing on the conviction. Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayake has assured New Delhi that Sri Lanka's territory will not be used in any way that could harm India's interests. The president gave his assurance following talks with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. The assurance comes in the backdrop of India raising objections with Colombo in 2022 for allowing a Chinese research vessel to dock at the Hambantota port. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is expected to visit Beijing on the 18th of December to attend the 23rd meeting of the Special Representatives. As agreed during the meeting of the 2 leaders in Kazan on the 23rd of October, the 2 special representatives will discuss the management of peace and tranquility in the border areas and explore a fair and reasonable, mutually acceptable solution to the boundary question. Australian state government has proposed new restrictions on protesters in response to rising anti-Semitism across the country. Now, this includes a ban on demonstrations outside places of worship. The Victoria government has proposed the new laws after arsonists extensively damaged a Melbourne synagogue and protesters kept fearful worshippers trapped in a Sydney synagogue for 3 hours. Residents of Mayotte have spoken of apocalyptic scenes caused by the worst storm in 90 years to hit the French-Indian Ocean territory. Cyclone Shido brought wind speeds of more than 225 kilometers per hour, flattening areas where the poorest lived in sheet metal roof shacks. Authorities say they are having difficulty establishing the number of deaths due to the large number of undocumented migrants, over 100,000 in a population of 320,000. A magnitude 7.3 earthquake has struck the coast of Vanuatu in the South Pacific Ocean. The quake occurred at a depth of 57 kilometers and was centered 30 kilometers west of Port Vila, the largest city in Vanuatu, a group of 80 islands that is home to about 330,000 people. The jolt was followed by a magnitude 5.5 aftershock near the same location. After earthquake, landslides were reported near the international shipping terminal. Bitcoin surged to a record high of $107,000 on Monday. The rally comes after President-elect Donald Trump reaffirmed plans to create a U.S. Bitcoin strategic reserve similar to the country's oil reserve. The announcement has fueled optimism among crypto investors. Investor sentiment got another boost as MicroStrategy joined the Nasdaq 100 index. The move could attract more inflows for the software firm, which is heavily invested in Bitcoin. Hopes are rising for a more crypto-friendly regulatory environment under the incoming Trump administration. Now, this has further lifted Bitcoin and other digital assets. Bitcoin is already up about 150% in 2024. President-elect Donald Trump with SoftBank Group CEO Masayoshi Son announced on Monday that SoftBank would invest $100 billion in the U.S. over the next 4 years in what he believes would be a boost for the U.S. economy. Trump said that the investment would create 100,000 jobs focused on artificial intelligence and related infrastructure.
I'm honored to welcome one of the most accomplished business leaders of our time, the founder and CEO of SoftBank, everybody knows, Masayoshi Son. Masa runs one of the largest companies in Japan and among the most successful investment and technology companies anywhere in the world, one of the most successful investors in the world. And we've just concluded a very productive meeting, and today I'm thrilled to announce that SoftBank will be investing $100 billion in America, creating 100,000 American jobs at a minimum. And he's doing this because he feels very optimistic about our country since the election.
Alibaba Group has said it would sell its Chinese departmental store unit Intime and book a $1.3 billion loss from the deal. Alibaba will sell Intime to a consortium comprising Younger Fashion and members of Intime's management team for $1.02 billion. Now, this is subject to customary regulatory approvals. The retail giant is reshuffling its business portfolio to focus on its core e-commerce operations. The sale marks a further acceleration in Alibaba's restructuring after the group split into 6 business units last year. Australia's Qantas Airways has said that it has reached a settlement with the Transport Workers Union for compensation of $76.2 million that it will pay former ground workers who were sacked in 2020. The airline will pay the ex-employees through a compensation fund that will be established early 2025. The carrier added that the final amount will comprise of factors including compensation to the TWU and the cost incurred to distribute the funds to individuals. The airline said that the federal court will conduct a separate hearing at a later date to determine where Qantas will be penalized for sacking the individuals or not. China has sent a new group of satellites into space on Tuesday from the Taiwan Satellite Launch Center in northern Shanxi province. The satellite was launched at 2:50 a.m. Beijing time aboard a Long March 2D carrier rocket. The satellite group, the PSAT-2 09/12 satellites, entered the preset orbit successfully. The launch marks the 553rd flight mission of the Long March carrier rocket series. TikTok has made a last-ditch effort on Monday to keep operating in the United States. Now, the company has asked the Supreme Court to temporarily block a law that requires its China-based parent ByteDance to divest the app by January 19th or face a ban. TikTok and ByteDance filed an emergency request for an injunction to stop the ban while they appeal a lower court's decision that upheld the law. A group of US TikTok users also filed a similar request on Monday. The app is currently used by about 170 million Americans. Britain has set online safety regime requiring social media companies like Meta's Facebook and ByteDance's TikTok to take action to tackle criminal activity on their platforms and make them safer by design. Media regulator Ofcom said it had published its first codes of practice on tackling illegal harms, such as child sexual abuse and assisting or encouraging suicide. Sites and apps have until March 16, 2025 to assess the risks illegal content posed to children and adults on their platforms. The regulator will be able to issue fines of up to $22.3 million or 10% of a company's annual global turnover if they fail to comply. Nigeria and Atlanta striker Ademola Lookman has been crowned the 2024 African Footballer of the Year at the Confederation of African Football Awards in Marrakesh on Monday. Meanwhile, Orlando Prize and Zambia striker Barbara Banda won the women's prize, making history as the first Zambian to win the title. A panel of experts, including members of CAF's technical committee, African media professionals, players and coaches, vote for the overall winners.
Firstly, I want to thank Almighty God for everything that He's been doing in my life and everything He's been blessing me with. I want to thank the presidents. I want to thank all my teammates, club and country. I want to thank them for their support and the love that they give me.
Barcelona forward Lamine Yamal has received the 2024 Golden Boy Trophy following a campaign that saw him help Spain secure the European Championship. Yamal, who turned 17 the day before the Euro 2024 final, was instrumental for La Roja as they deservedly lifted the trophy following a 2-1 win over England in the final. The teenager was also named Young Player of the Tournament and also picked up the goal of the tournament for his strike against France in the semi-final.
Muy bien, muy contento. Al final noto mucho el cariño que me tiene la afición y todo lo que sea recibir premios delante suyo, pues muy contento y muy feliz. Al final intento pensar solo en jugar, no intento pensar en la edad del rival, intento solo centrarme en jugar, en disfrutar y ayudar a mi equipo. Pero sí es verdad que es un poco curioso que al final hay jugadores que son más grandes que mi padre, pero bueno, intento siempre en jugar.